I was trying to take notes to give our viewers points.
Okay.
And then it was distracting me. And then it looked like I was on the computer the whole time.
Right, right.
When I was trying to set up slides. And then so I go whiteboard. Right? You
Okay,
know what I mean?
okay.
If you go whiteboard, you're in a situation to where at least now, I mean, I can draw, right? And I don't have it exactly right.
No, I think it's I think it's a great idea to do it, and I love doing it that way. I think that's fantastic because it's more interactive for the show. Just remember,
it's a little heavier though, so I was going to put it here on this thing, and then it fell.
Okay,
that thing fell over there. It fell.
Okay.
So then I don't know.
All right. Well, just know that for today, you've got about half that whiteboard you can work with. You got about the right.
I've been using.
You got about the right half.
I'm used to working with small things.
Okay. Well. That I'm not. So,
there you go. There you go. There you go. There you go.
I'm not. And hey, perfect example. I work with Brian. Brian's like 6'10". So
you know what's funny? You know what's funny is that is Dale on yet? No,
not yet. Dale hasn't called in yet.
Dale, let's get him on. He says he's on. Dale, you on?
Oh.
Dale,
there he is. There we go. We got him on. Dale, thank you for calling in. Welcome to.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Absolutely. We got him. He's good. He's good.
Right.
He's going out. He's good.
Yeah, we were just talking. So Dale, we were just talking about. Fritz was talking about my size, right? And so height wise, yeah, right, exactly. And we were talking about. So my brother is much bigger. Right?
He's not. He's a couple inches taller.
No, he's like so. And Dale, you've met my brother, right? So my brother's 6'7", right? And he was like 400 pounds.
Yeah.
When he was younger, right?
Yep.
And so I grew up in a situation where everybody that I know, like everyone around me, and then I went to lineman. I was a lineman at Tennessee.
Right.
So I was like a smaller lineman. Well, so I have this like complex that I'm small. Right? Like, it's just one of those things to where it's like, because you grew up, my dad's like 6'4", 320, you know, he's a big guy. He's an ex-power lifter, right? And so everyone in my family's like 6'3", 6'4". And so you kind of like don't realize it. And it's just, it's taken me some time to get adjusted to it. But
okay. I guess. It's funny because when people say, oh, well, you're tall, and what are you talking about? I'm not tall at all. What are you, crazy? No way.
Yeah.
You know, I make it to 6 feet tall when I'm standing on a penny reaching for the stars, man. You know, give me a break. I'm a little dude. I'm not a big guy. I work with a.
Now, Dale, how tall are you, Dale?
I'm right there with Fritz. I'm a hair under 6 feet.
A hair under 6 feet.
I mean, we're normal sized guys. Brian's a giant. He doesn't even realize it. This is
the 6 feet thing. That's a good place to be, though. Like you can buy your clothes pretty much everywhere.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of it's a good place to be.
Yeah, you know where I'd like to be, though? 6'5".
That's a good place to be, too.
That's a better place to be. It's a better place to be.
It's a great place to be.
Yeah.
The only thing is, you can't buy shoes at the store. So my whole life I order shoes online.
That depends.
Right.
I know people who are 6'5" who have a regular, size 12, size 13 shoe. I mean, you have, you're like a 17 or some crazy. 15. Okay, whatever. 15, they look looks like canoes he's got on his size 15. He's got canoes on the end of his legs.
So Dale, so how's everything going, man? So we were out in New Jersey, seeing your office last week, and you got a lot of exciting stuff. Right. So he has in his office.
Dale has, by the way.
Dale has in his office on one quote. It's Notorious B.I.G.
I saw this. I saw the post.
On the other side of the office,
that's right.
It's Biggie. It's Tupac, right? Let me see if I can pull that up for everybody.
Does that cause issues with people in the office, Dale? Do you have people throwing? Do you have like employees that go to one side or the other and throw signs at each? I don't know. I'm just.
Oh, like is there an East Coast, West Coast?
Yeah, yeah. Is there like
East Coast, West Coast rivalry?
Right. Yeah. Is there like a rivalry in the office? No. Of course.
The guys are pretty good about it. It's pretty 50-50 split.
50-50 split. Okay.
Size, but it could get to that point. Let's see.
Now, Dale, what personally? I mean, I always thought of you as more of a Biggie guy, but yeah. I mean, because the whole New York, New Jersey kind of accent thing. But where are you, Biggie or Pac?
No, I'm a Biggie fan.
You're a biggie fan, okay.
He can't answer any other way now. You just put him on the spot.
Yeah,
told him what
you can't. I mean, I thought of him as a biggie guy. It doesn't mean he is.
Okay.
But
Now I'm gonna kind of rein us back in. I'm having a lot of fun with this sort of wild off topic, back and forth. I think everybody is, and it gives some good insight. But I'm gonna get us back on track.
You're back on track. Okay.
Yeah. I gotta be the Debbie Downer here and kind of get us all back on track to. Hey, look, I could sit here and talk about Tupac and Biggie all day. Legit.
Me too.
Now. To be fair, I will say I'm a Tupac guy. Okay, if between the two, I'm a Tupac guy. So, but let's talk about what's going on in the mortgage industry.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about your visit. Let's talk about the visit you had with Dale. Obviously, it was a great visit. Now he's agreed to come on the show and join us and kind of give us his perspective as far as what he's seeing out there and some of the things that have helped to make him a success. So let's talk about what did you guys discuss on your visit? What were you focused on?
So and Dale, maybe I can start with this a little bit, but mainly it was market conditions, right? So what's going on in the market? You're obviously out there, trying to get branches. You got branches and loan officers kind of moving around, but maybe better from the horse's mouth themselves. What is going on in the mortgage market right now?
Yeah, well, honestly, Brian, the market around here is strong. Traditionally it's always strong. North Jersey market, where we're out of here, Morris County, even the surrounding counties around here, it's pretty steady. I see it getting busier and busier. Dealing with our real estate partners over here on a daily basis. I've got 30-plus LOs tagged out of this office that's pounding the pavement pretty much daily. Not to mention the handful of branches that we have tagged out of Morristown here as well. Some areas around the country a little slower than we'd like as far as values are increasing, but it's pretty stable around here. I'm looking forward to a big spring around here, that's for sure. I really don't think the inventory is quite there yet. I see more buyers than inventory actually in this part of the country, especially.
Yeah. So Dale, when it comes to recruiting LOs or expanding your market or something, I mean, you obviously been doing this a long time. And what has been your successful tactic, or what is your what has been your best way about going and expanding your business? Because that's what you've done. You're really not in the business of making loans. You're really in the business of finding people that make loans, right? You know what I mean?
Correct.
Right. So what is your secret sauce, man?
Just trying to build a better mousetrap. Here's the thing, around, especially in this, let's just take North Jersey, for instance, and the Parsippany area. I'm in Morristown, where Parsippany is. Seems like every mortgage company, every usual suspect up here has an office or a headquarters in Parsippany. So the thing is, what makes you different than the rest of our competition out there? You've got literally multiple mortgage companies knocking on the same realtor's door. So what's, like you're asking, what makes me build a better mousetrap than the next guy? What I think it is number one is products. So one of the things that I was really attracted to, aside from the culture and things I'll get into, is the products. Everybody can do down to a 580 FICO score on an FHA loan to some point. Everybody's got that 5% down or that Fannie 97 product and maybe some non-QM products. So us, for instance, here at Alterra, I can go down to 550 on an FHA, which in some of the more urban areas is huge. And there are quite a few urban areas up around here. So when it comes to some of the inner city or urban type areas, plus some of the clientele that necessarily doesn't have the credit or the assets, again, 550 FHA we can go to. I have 100% financing on an FHA loan with a 3.5% closed-end second behind it. ITIN loan, I have a product where I can do an ITIN loan, which is a taxpayer ID number for a self-employed borrower. That certainly solves or fills a niche over here, I should certainly say. So number one, going into that without going into too much detail, is product. Number two is culture.
So let's say, No. So let's say products and culture, right? Because that's a good place to kind of pivot a little bit, right? So you're going into, you're recruiting and you're saying, okay, we've got the best set of products and you got the best culture, right? So those two lining up, but let's say most people are selling, and this is not necessarily but when it comes to your tactics as far as, so you have good culture, you have good products, right? And there's other people that have that, right, per se, right? I mean, there's definitely other companies that have that, right? And how do you go about, what has your tactic been successfully? Because, you've had a lot of success, recruiting and stuff like that, as far as, getting them to buy into you, right? Or getting them to say, Dale's where I want to hang my shingle. Because I think a lot of people, and the reason I say I think a lot of people, and like I've known, in the past, have struggled with maybe even the sort of like belief in themselves that they can convince somebody to like, hey, join me, right? Where you don't have a problem with that, right? You got people following you.
Well, that's the big thing I think that would separate someone like Dale and what Dale's doing with your average run-of-the-mill broker, and that's that level of self-confidence. I'll let Dale speak to that, but I just wanted to put that in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, I'm a salesman selling salesmen. So, you've got to be savvy to that point where not only selling a salesman who happens to be the loan officer or the branch manager, but also knowing what you're talking about, having confidence in what you're talking about. I mean, being in this business for 20 plus years as it is, I take pride in it. I do my homework. I want to know what's going on out there. I know how to not only sell a deal, I know how to put together deals. I relate this to these people. That's what they want to hear. They don't just need, if you look at it from a recruiting standpoint, and you guys are probably aware of this too, I'm not naming anybody in particular, but there's plenty of companies out there that have a boatload of recruiters working for them that don't know what loan to value means, or doesn't know what debt to income ratio you need to qualify for a specific program. And, that just goes on and on and on, and more in depth you go, the more sure you are of yourself, the more you know about a product, you know about the problems and nuances that loan officers, branches have out there, and you're giving them a way to not only fix it, but they believe you, they trust in you, and usually holds through. They start to, once people come over, they start to see it in a couple months, and they stay, and that's why my retention has been very good as well.
Yeah, and so to that point, right? So you know your stuff, right? Because that's kind of what Barry said, right? And Barry, right? Barry Habib.
Yep.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Barry, and it's one of those things where, like Barry said, the same thing is knowing your products, right? Knowing your services. So what do you do? And Dale, maybe like describe what you do to stay up to date, because I mean, products are changing all the time. Fannie Freddie's coming out with new stuff all the time. FHA's coming out with new stuff all the time. The jumbo market's constantly in an influx. Values all over the place. So you've got to really have your thumb on the pulse. Inventory, like you said, is low. So there's a lot of different scenarios that are happening. What do you do? Or describe what your week looks like to get things and keep things on track. Keep up to date in the market.
Knowledge in this business is certainly important. And going back to Barry Habib, MBS Highway, this product, very good product. So, if nobody's subscribed to it, or some of the people on this show haven't subscribed to it yet, I definitely recommend doing that. That, Mortgage News Daily, you got to stay on top of these websites. You got to see what's going on. You got to watch the market. You got to know all the indicators as far as rates. Like you said, you got to know products. You got to know when the next DU release comes out, what's contained in that DU release. You got to stay on top of this kind of stuff. There's plenty of knowledge on the internet. If you go to the right sites and subscribe to the right websites, you'll have that knowledge at your fingertips. And to stay on top of it's important. That, and also talking to your competition. You guys know just as well as anybody else. It's a large but very, very small business, and we all know our competitors, at least locally. So and for the most part, loan officers, no matter what company they work for, they get along. There's no animosity really in this business, very little. So staying in touch with people, staying in touch with colleagues throughout the industry. What are you doing now? Do you see this product I have? You got anything coming out that's remotely close to that? Or no, but I have this and this coming out. Staying on top, knowledge is power, communication is key in this industry, and that's for sure. So going through a normal week, you always try to stay on top of that. You try to have a finger on the pulse of this industry from a product standpoint. Nobody has a crystal ball, but as much as you can from a rate standpoint, and get your face out there. I try to do as much self-promotion from a recruiting standpoint as I absolutely can. Social media is big. You guys know that as well. There's no cheaper or more powerful way to advertise than boosting through Facebook or having a fairly large directory of LinkedIn contacts. It's just,
LinkedIn is LinkedIn is the best, and LinkedIn to me is so powerful. You know what I mean? Because it's like you can go into a situation and it's like, I've already know where you work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I already know who you're connected with. I already kind of know, oh, you used to work at this company or you used to work at that company. Or this is your first company. It's kind of hard. Like I don't know. I think people pad their resume a lot more than they pad their LinkedIn stats, right? You know what I mean?
Oh, sure, because LinkedIn, they'll call you right out on it. Yeah. So a couple of points, Brian. I just want a couple things, and I'm going to just do it quick. So, and these are themes, and Dale's sharing with us some themes that I think are very relevant. Again, not just to your mortgage industry, but really for any industry that you're in. And I have a tendency to put things into like a sports context, right?
Yeah.
Which is hilarious because I'm an artist and you're an athlete, and I'm the one that makes the sports. I'm the one that puts things in a sports context,
correct.
And Brian does the opposite and puts them into artistic or creative. Right. So it's just funny that that's our dynamic. But to put it in a sports context, the importance of being informed. I mean, that's essentially staying in shape, right? That's the if you're in this industry, that's the equivalent of the athlete staying in shape. That's running the extra mile, doing that's being Herschel Walker doing 10,000 sit-ups a day, being Jerry Rice running up and down a mountain. It gives you that advantage, competitive advantage, over the people that that you're in the game with, that you're in competition with, okay? And being informed in this industry, having that knowledge is your way to condition yourself, okay, the way an athlete would to stay in shape. And then the other thing, particularly when we talk about LinkedIn, but also, and a little bit wider than LinkedIn, because LinkedIn's going to be great for your professional contacts and things like that. But I think Dale's making the point too, as far as a larger social media presence with Facebook, with Instagram, with Snapchat, with the other social media platforms, because that's what's going to allow you to expand your consumer base and to get referrals. It's going to be a lot easier. Remember, that's every single mortgage broker worth anything always asks for the referrals. Every salesperson worth anything, you always ask for referrals, right?
Got to.
Exactly. Facebook and social media allows you to instantly connect and ask for those referrals every single time you're putting a post out, you're putting something out there.
Now, Dale, you've primarily been
that's just to finish that thought. That really plays to the importance of relationships and forming relationships from a LinkedIn perspective, with the people that you actually work with, the way we have a relationship with Dale, for example. Okay, now we've really enjoyed working with him, and we have a good relationship, good working relationship, right? But then it's and the same thing like we do with our appraisers. But then again, also to building that relationship with those clients, with those customers, because that's how you're going to earn the referrals and the additional business.
No, absolutely. And Dale, so you've had experience both. You've had experience both at a retail, brick and mortar type, and then you've had experience at a call center type, right? And
correct.
A lot of the companies now, and we talked about this a little bit when I was up there, are going through a change, meaning it's like you really can't be just brick and mortar traditional retail, and you really can't be just online.
Nope.
Right? You've kind of had to be. And it's like when you look at and you look at, let's say, Sean, which we all know Sean Hammond, great guy, love him. He's on a 7-month road tour. Right?
I hope,
he's
man.
Taking the
God bless.
Yeah, yep. Oh, man, God bless him with his family and everything. How's he doing? Is he okay?
He's okay. He said just avoid the rain. Right, that's what he said.
I hope he went.
Rain makes everything bad.
I hope he went to Dyer's. I hope he got a burger cooked on 100-year-old grease, man, because they're so good.
So even if you look at them, which has traditionally been a, let's say, online retail platform, they're going, on the road. And then if you look at companies that have traditionally been a brick and mortar platform, they're going online. Mm-hmm. So what have you guys, or what do you think is going to be the next? And we're coming up on spring. So what do you think is going to be the next wave of new purchases, and what you're doing, or what lenders should be doing, or what loan officers should be doing? What do you think is going to happen?
Right. So it's tough to say because certain platforms work, certain models work for certain companies. What may work for Sean over at Eland doesn't necessarily work here, and vice versa.
That's a good point.
So what I think is, you have to evolve based on what your market's looking for and what your market's asking for, and you have to listen to that. You have to be able to listen and see, not push ahead with what you want to push ahead with. So that could be a combination of the call center type, brick and mortar type, pound the pavement type of situation, and we're constantly here at Alterra, constantly evolving it and trying to roll with, like you said, as the waves come in, you want to catch each wave, you don't want to miss it. So basically what I've seen for the most part, and what I've done is, our business here, for instance, my model here, and it's been different through the years, and I've changed it and adapted as market conditions have changed. But my model here is the real estate partner. Our number one referral source, the person that we want to get in bed with, so to say, most importantly here is the realtor. The realtor, start with the realtor on the real estate level, the street level, hopefully evolve that to the broker, and eventually opening up the entire office. So what we've been able to put together over the winter, one thing in particular is Alterra, we have a national agreement with Century 21, Better Homes and Gardens Realty. We're one of their national realtors for both real estate companies. So that's huge. So that's a foot in the door. That's definitely a warm welcome. We're pounding the pavement as far as trying to service these Century 21s and Better Homes offices and other national and local real estate partners. But that's where it starts at, catering to the realtor. Doing real estate events, monthly or bi-monthly. We're doing a real estate event in a hotel where we have a motivational speaker come, invite the realtors for lunch, and they come in and listen to our spiel for 4 hours. Halloween, we sponsored a Halloween event here in Morristown with another real estate office. So that's where right now, not to say that might not change, and obviously going into next fall, but our eyes on it going into the spring, especially that's our season for the most part, the spring and summer months. Mm-hmm. That's where our focus is. Our focus is working those relationships, creating those relationships with the real estate partners, not only locally here on the town level, but nationally. So that's my model right now.
And so when it comes to forming relationships with those real estate agents and those real estate partners, I mean, I think everybody's trying to do that, right? Like everybody's trying to do that. So when you go out and you approach one of those real estate agents, or you approach trying to to strike a deal, or even like a happy hour, right, or doing an event, what has been and what's interesting is the happy hours and events people just eat up, right? Mm-hmm.
Anytime you offer anyone alcohol, they're gonna show up.
They got free alcohol. They're there.
Free food and alcohol. They're there.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly. What has been? Have you had a good response from the agents when you invite them to that kind of stuff? Like, are most people?
I have.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about teaching your guys. So first of all, you got to come. Every other loan officer walks in dropping off sticky notes or pens and says, "Oh, can I drop off my card?" and they leave. You got to come with something of value, number one. So whatever that happens to be. And I'm not saying game tickets, or I'm not saying anything like that of value, but something that will, like I said earlier, will separate you from the rest of your competition. Tchotchkes and all the other stuff are nice, but are you going to close my loan? Are you going to be able to close my loan in a specific time frame or a specific amount of time? And let me build your trust by, some of the stuff that I do now, going back to products down to a 550 credit score, ITIN loans, we're banking about just about every non-QM product that's out there right now. Be hard pressed to see if there's a non-QM product that we actually don't have access to. But I start with, let me see your garbage can. Give me the deals that you've had a tough time closing, clients you've been working with for 6 months through 3 or 4 different mortgage companies that you can't get done because they've got a 560 credit score, or 565 credit score, or they just, You know, they just didn't go. The loan officer or loan officers that they spoke to, going back to knowledge and industry knowledge about putting a deal together and a situation together, maybe they don't have enough down payment money, but maybe you didn't explore other options or actually have that conversation with a family member as far as gift funds or something along those lines. So you got to ask for it. You know, if you don't ask, you don't get. So.
Yeah, no. I definitely. And when it comes to, I mean, are you doing these happy hours and events once a week, once a month, or you just do them sporadically?
Yeah, I'd say, you know, try it once a month because out of sight, out of mind. So you don't want to do it too regularly, but you want to try to be front and center at least, you know, every couple weeks. That's what I say. And the same thing is true with LinkedIn, true with these real estate people. You know, if you're not in the office, if you're not popping in the office once a week, dropping off a box of donuts, staying relevant, showing your face, it's out of sight, out of mind. It's the same thing not only with the realtors going in and asking for business, but the same thing with, like you said, like doing a happy hour. So we try to do a happy hour at least once a month or a realtor event once a month. Continue to invite the same realtors, you know, stress to them, hey, listen, bring all your friends, bring all your real estate friends, bring all them with you, and trying to invite newer people. I would say we've been having at least one realtor event since August, and give you an idea, we've been able to keep the same core of 80 to 90 realtors at each event, and it's grown, and it's grown from then on. But you see the same faces time in and time out. So
yeah, and it's kind of like that at the conferences too, right? Like when you go to the MBAE conferences, it's like the same guys over and over and over again, right?
Yeah, Brian, it's run into you every time down there. It's like a high school reunion.
Yeah, no, it's definitely.
So let me jump in real quick. I want to touch on something that Dale was discussing because I think it's really, really relevant and very important. So one of the things that that Dale was discussing just recently, just you know, a moment ago, was you know, going into these offices and, you know, yes, most are going to go in there with, you know, with the sticky notes, with the pens, you know, whatever it is. And so what really jumps out at me is when Dale says, listen, you have to go in there with something of value.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, going in there and saying, give me your bad deals, right? Give me the stuff that you can't get done, okay? That is coming in with a level of knowledge, okay, and preparation that's the value, right? There's nothing more valuable than that, okay? Because anybody can walk in and give someone a pen. Anyone can walk in and give someone a pad. Anyone can walk in and give someone a PlayStation 4. But that's not really the value that they're needing. What they really need is the value, that knowledge, because that's really much more valuable than any tchotchke that anyone's going to give out. So I think he's got a natural advantage there going in, being so prepared, having all that ready to go, knowing, hey, I can actually look at these deals that other people can't get done and try to give you some advice or figure out how to get these things to happen. That's a level of knowledge that is priceless, and that's what's going to get you back in that office, right?
Agreed. And to piggyback off of that, Fritz, you know, here's another thing that when we talk about something of value, you know, realtors, they don't want the concert tickets. Of course, they're all nice. They don't want any of the freebie stuff. They want money. They want to be able to make as much money as they possibly can, and the only way they can do that is by deals. So, number one, you know, and I make a habit out of here, and I have all of our loan officers and branches follow suit and do the same thing. So, you have a borrower that calls you up. You know, everybody here is a mortgage professional. They get calls out of the blue. I was referred by your Uncle Johnny. Your friend Mike told me to call you. I'm looking to buy a house. Pre-qualify that borrower. Walk into that real estate office with that pre-qualified borrower, not physically, but on paper. Say, listen, I'd love to do business with you. You know, I think I'm right down the street, whatever the case may be. Even though I've got all these awesome products, and I can do this, and nobody else can do it, I got a buyer for you. Here, this guy's name is John Smith. You know, he's a good friend of mine, or he's referred to me, personal referral here. He's looking for a house. I've already pre-qualified him. Give him a call. He's waiting on your call. That usually right there is, if the product thing doesn't do it, that usually does. But, you know, you gotta be able to step up. You can't say, oh, well, I'll be able to send you deals. I'll be able to send you buyers, and nothing ever comes of it. You walk in with that name, that phone number, and say, oh, here, by the way, this guy's waiting on your call. goes a long way. Believe me.
Yeah, and that adding value, right? Like that really sort of being the guy, not just an order taker, or not just really trying to have a partnership, right? And that's one of those things where I think that'll never change, right? Like technology, I think keeps you competitive, right? It's sort of like it keeps you in the race. You gotta people are driving cars, not buggies anymore, so you can get to work faster, right? Or internet and email, enables you to, instead of me mailing you a document, I can just email it to you, or phone call. But as far as the relational side, I don't think that's ever going to change, right? I think that's like with all the technology in the world, hey, I'll help you, you help me, in the sense of legitimate business opportunities, not gimmicks, right? Because the concert and the tickets to the game and all that stuff, it's fun and it's exciting and it's something you can obviously do, but it's kind of gimmicky, right? It's kind of gimmicky.
It is.
The hey, here's a buyer so you can make a living.
Well, right, and that's to Dale's point, which is that's what the realtor really wants is income. That's why you're there. You're there to offer them a way to make income, and so when you're there, you're demonstrating that this is how hey, look, I'm demonstrating to you that I can help you make that income either by coming in with a pre-qualified buyer or by having the knowledge and the skill set so that you can look through those maybe scratch and dent files and figure out what can work out of this or how to make these things work. Again, that's actual income that you're bringing to them, not a concert ticket, whatever it is. Because remember, what are they going to do? They want, they want the income. I mean, that's the end of the day. No one says no to cash. No one.
Everyone wants the money.
That's right.
Wants the money. So shifting gears a little bit, Dale. So a very important question. So you're Northeast, right? So you're in.
Right.
You're in the Northeast. Super Bowl, okay? Super Bowl. This
right.
Super Bowl. Let's just get serious here, guys. Okay, none of this mortgage stuff.
Speaking of which, tickets prices are dropping like a stone for the Super Bowl. The ticket prices are going way down. So Barry needs to get us into that party and get us into the game.
Are ticket prices going down?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
So Dale. Super Bowl. What are you thinking?
Definitely, I got to root for the Eagles.
Got to root for the Eagles. Okay.
Eagles Giants is one of the worst rivalries going. I did live in Philly for 8 years. Went to school down there. It's good for the city. I am pulling for Philly.
You're pulling for Philly. Pulling for Philly. Now, pulling for Philly. Do you actually think they got a chance against Brady?
If Wentz was still there, maybe, but not Foles.
Now, I don't know if I want to get a whole sports talk thing, but Brian, you got to say it right. Now, the question should have been, do the Eagles have a chance against Tom Brady and the referees?
Yeah. Right.
Well, I mean that's a
because I mean.
You guys going to Super Bowl?
There's a party that Barry's having that we're thinking about going to. I know a couple. Are you going?
Me? No, I'm not going.
I mean, it's. I mean, it'd be nice to see Brady though. Just see him once. I went to the 49ers Ravens Super Bowl.
That was in Tampa.
That was
that
Louisiana.
That was Louisiana.
That was.
I was thinking the Giants Ravens was Tampa.
That was cool. Have you been there to the Super Bowl, Dale?
No, I've never been. I've been to a college national championship game.
Yeah. College even better.
No, I've never been to Super Bowl.
Hey Dale. We'll get you some tickets.
What do you to the Super Bowl?
I'm joking. Like,
don't offer.
Just talking about tickets to.
I realize that, but man, you can't go on a live broadcast that is being recorded
don't worry.
and offer him tickets unless you're going to give the man tickets.
Our compliance officer's listening to this. She always listens. She Skypes me when I say something. So she hasn't Skyped me yet, so we're good.
I mean, you took us off the rails and into the woods, man.
So then what do you think is going to happen with, let me ask you this, how'd you get into the mortgage industry, right? So you've been doing it, 20 plus years, 15 plus years?
Yeah, 20, I've been, I think I heard you guys right. Yeah, it's 22 years now. I mean,
22 years?
I literally stumbled into it right after I got out of college, just by chance. somebody came up to me in an office I was temping at, and he was in a small broker shop upstairs. He's like, "We want to get in the mortgage business." I was 22 years old. I said, "Yeah, okay, sure, let's go, let's do it." Went up there, he had me dialing out of the phone book for the first 3 months.
Oh, nice,
so,
nice. No.
The hard way.
Now dialing out of the phone book.
That is going the hard way.
Hey, dialing out of the phone book, right? So having that skill, right? Because I've done that before.
Right.
Having that skill. Hi, this is Dale Gallant with Coest2Coest Mortgage. I'm calling because I am a local real estate agent, blah, 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 right?
The pitch.
How has that shaped your life, being able to have that skill set?
It certainly teaches you how to deal with rejection.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of this industry where, you know how it is. It's a very trying, very stressful industry, and if you take those parts of it and combine it with the rejection part, nobody likes rejection. Nobody likes to hear no, and some people just get to a saturation point with it and can't take it anymore. That's the biggest thing in this business, I believe. Aside from everything else, if you got tough skin and you can take rejection, and you could have multiple people in any given day tell you no, just I think that's what builds character, and especially it gives you the foundation that you need to succeed in this business. It definitely does.
Now, your kind of cold calling skills, right? Because, that's a skill. Well, let me ask this. Did you close any loans off cold calling in the phone book?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Back in the day, you talking about?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, back in the day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would literally, back in those days, I'd pick up the phone book, and the first thing would say, "Hi, Mr. Jones, do you own or rent?" They say own, jump right into the spiel. They say rent, thanks, hang up, go on to the next one. So those are the days where you used to go out, and after you make the phone conversation, you actually go to the borrower's house and pretty much do the application with them in his living room. And
yep.
It's a little different back then. 1003s were carbon copy.
There you go. Okay, so you're cold calling every day. So how many calls are you making every day?
I don't know, 300 back then.
Wow.
300 calls a day.
Early 20s, 300 calls a day.
300 calls a day.
Yeah.
So,
and then when you got out of that, how happy were you to stop making those 300 calls a day like that?
Yeah, it was pretty refreshing. So
yeah.
I went from that model to basically almost right to a call center model. So from having to make 300 calls a day to probably answering 200 calls a day. In a very busy time in the mid 90s when rates were 8%, but they were still coming down from the 13 and 12% ranges, and people were jumping all over. It was like a feeding frenzy back then, But those days definitely shaped what is now the rest of my career for sure.
Yeah, now call center environment, right? Because there's a huge there's a huge difference between call center LO and mortgage in outside cold calling LO, right? Or cold calling skill set.
Huge difference.
Have you found that the skill set transferred over to where you were just killing it, or was it too let's say passive?
No, it was pretty smooth. It was pretty smooth transition. I went from outbound calling to inbound. By the time I was 24 years old, year and a half, 2 years in, I was running sales for a company out of South Jersey, one of the youngest guys in the company, but I always still originated from there. Even though I moved into management, basically I've been in management ever since. I still originate. On top of everything else I'm doing here, 20 years later, I'm still doing $800 to $1 million a month in my own production every month, just by, it's not by calling people, not by pounding on doors, just because of referrals. This person knows this person referred me, that person referred me. And you guys know Sean Brennan, my partner up here as well. I say the same for him. So he's put in the same amount of time and comes from a very similar background. So, origination is always going to be our bread and butter. Always.
And I'll say this for the audience. It's important, and I'll be the guy to point this out, is that, look, the way, for those of you who are newer to the industry or you're just kind of getting into it, the way you get to where Dale is, to where you've got people coming to you and you're still closing $1 million a month while you're doing other things, the way you get to that level is He just told you exactly how to do it if you paid attention, which is you pay your dues to start. You're going to have to pay those dues, okay? So, and anyone that thinks that picking up the phone and making 300 cold calls in a day is an easy thing to do is out of their mind. It is one of the hardest things that you can do, because he's exactly right. People are afraid of rejection. People get conditioned to rejection, and that's part of it, and that's what you also have to avoid, because it's one thing, okay, you can find people that are going to make the 300 calls. It's a very different thing to find people who are going to make the 300 calls and have any level of success with that after they've had the rejection on the first 50 or 100 calls, right? So to keep the game plan in place and to keep your focus and keep making those calls and keep pushing and that is what gives you the foundation to then later become successful. And that's really the thing. That's the key, because we talk about it all the time. People are afraid. They're afraid of two things. And one of the things they know that they're afraid of, the thing that they're most afraid of, they don't even realize it. People are afraid of success. That's the truth. They're more afraid of success. I say this all the time. They're more afraid of success than failure. I can find plenty of people to fail. Okay? I can find plenty of people to fail, and there's no fear in that, because guess what? If you're not making an effort, you're already failing. So you're clearly not afraid of failure. Okay? It's your fear of success that's preventing you from getting on that phone. And that's where someone like Dale or someone like Sean or like Barry, that we, the folks that we're privileged to have on the show and talk to and get some of their perspective, this is why they have the same themes, the same ideas, the same work ethics, because that's what makes you successful. Okay, I give Dale a tremendous amount of credit because you can clearly see that the success is earned, and it's earned by picking up that phone and not being afraid to be successful.
So interesting. So Dale, the story. So my brother and I. So my dad's an appraiser by trade, right? So he was an appraiser, real estate agent, right? So he sold some houses, did some appraisals. And that was common back in the day, right? It was kind of, So summers, days off for school. What am I doing? I'm going on inspections, and I'm going on his drop-ins. So he'd drop in to mortgage companies, brokers, local, and say, hey, I'm an appraiser. I can do your listings. I can do this. I can do that. And so, growing up, ever since I can remember, 6 or 7 years old, going in these offices, right, and kind of doing that. And then so when I got into the business side and I started my own business, it's one of those things where it's like, it didn't even occur to me that people were afraid of doing that. Like it didn't even, it wasn't even there, right? Like to me, it was like, well, just go up and talk to the guy.
Yeah. Well, you're
like,
lucky.
you know what I mean? Like just go up and talk to the guy. Like, what do we? Well, he's in the office. Just go over to his office. No, I can't do that. It's like, well, why? Once you get there, he'll be right there, and you could just say something. Well, he's going to reject me. And I was thinking to myself, like, who would reject you coming to their office trying to offer like a products and service? And what's interesting to me is, and I've probably done that at this point 20,000 times. I've never had a bad experience. I mean, I've had some people say like, hey, no, get out of here kind of thing. Like, hey, the person's not available, or, there's been a handful of little things like that. But I've never had a like anything that would be other than that. Right, and I would say like 80-90% of the time, and Dale, this is a funny story. I used to go and ask for people that I knew didn't work there. Right, so I'd go up and Dale, I'd be like, hey, I go up to your office and be like, hey, Dale, I used to do appraisals for a guy, John Smith, and he was at Alterra Home Loans, and I was just in the area and I wanted to swing by. Is John?
I really hope you didn't use John Smith as the name for that.
No, I didn't use John Smith. Okay. I had another name that I used to use. And so you ask the secretary, right? So this works. You ask the secretary, okay? Dale, this is a free one. You ask the secretary, hey, is John Smith here? I used to do appraisals for him. And they'd be like, John Smith, like, I don't think we have a John here, but because most of the secretaries just started or they're temps or something, but I just started, so let me go ask. And who are they going to go ask? The manager.
Right, of course.
Right? The branch manager. Right. So 5 minutes later, branch manager comes out. He's like, John Smith, like, no, we never had anybody that worked here named John Smith. I'm like, it must have been another branch. But hey, here's my card. Like, I used to do that.
good.
All day.
There you go.
I used to do that all day. Work, like, because it's such a passive, sort of easy, because they're, they don't know if you're a borrower or not. They don't know what you're doing. It's a very, like, common thing, like, hey, is Fritz here kind of thing.
Right.
Side angle all day. So that's a free one to our viewers, by the way. Next one, we're going to charge you for. Have you ever done something like that, Dale? Like, you have any little things like that?
Yeah, that's a good one. I've used that to a certain extent sometimes. It's about the way you said, a little different, but yeah. I always go back and try to echo my hearing here.
So, yeah, I'm getting a little.
I like that. That's a good little trick. But going back to trying to always offer something of value. That's what I'm really always trying to go on, because that's what I have the most success with. And teaching, most importantly, teaching the guys here and the branches that we have and everybody else about how to do that, how to go into an office, ask for business, but at the same time give them something of value. It's a slippery slope, but if you know how to do it, you will come out of there with cards or a later appointment or maybe a deal or something. So.
Well, and I think sometimes just giving them the value of your attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think, people can tell. Like, and I talk to our salespeople all the time. People can tell when you're trying your best. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can you can sense the effort. Like, how somebody's like, they're working out and they're like giving it all they got. Like, you can tell. And you can also tell when a guy's kind of slacking. Like, if you're running or jogging or something. Like, you can tell. And
I haven't been into a gym in a long time, so no, I can't. But soon.
Fritz recently joined the gym, so Fritz recently joined. And it's one of those things to where it's like, I always tell our salespeople, like, worst case scenario, most people, aren't professional musicians or have some special talent, or they're not geniuses that are, able to compute loan origination costs in their head without, a software or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, most people are not like that. Most people have a very normal skill set. But just taking the extra time to just care and giving them, let's say, the value of your attention and the value of your effort, I think goes so far.
Sure.
Like, it's almost fake. Because you have guys, and it's almost fake, because you have guys that have become so loyal to people just based on the fact that, like, this guy really tries. I mean, have you know what I mean, Dale? Have you had success with just that?
Absolutely. And you know what? It doesn't, and you know what? Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't take much, you're talking about just trying. All you got to do is, when the realtor calls you, answer the phone. You get an email, return the email. You'd be surprised how many people don't do that, those simple kind of tasks, And be available. Be available 24/7. I know a lot of guys in this business, not necessarily guys that work here, but come 6:30, 7 o'clock, and including Saturday and Sundays, they're pretty much, they're off limits. Can't do that. There's a way to juggle family. There's a way to juggle your responsibilities, and being able to be attentive and be there for your referral partners at night, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night during the week. On a Saturday when you're at your kid's game, there's ways to balance it. And if you can't do that, you're not going to succeed.
You know what's been huge for me, Dale, and just so that, because to that point, right? So balance, right? So balance is very difficult.
Right.
Is text messages. Mm-hmm. So I always save people's numbers on my phone, but text messages, because if you get a phone call and I pick up the phone real quick, hey Dale, this is Brian. I'm right in the middle of something. Can I call you right back? And okay, hang on, right? And I send you a little text, hey, I'm at my son's basketball game. Can I call you back when I'm done?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to a certain extent, they almost feel offended that you picked up the phone, and to a certain extent, they almost feel guilty that they interrupted you, and then when you do call them back, they're so appreciative, right? And you're talking, most of the time, it's a 2-second call. I mean,
Sure.
It's not, a 2-hour conference call, right? You're talking, you go to the bathroom at one of the timeouts, you pick up the phone, you call him, you say, hey, I'm outside, what's going on? He said, well, there's this deal, that Johnson deal, is that getting taken care of? Yeah, no, I took care of it. Okay, cool. And you hang up, and it's over, right? But...
Right.
Well, right, because in most cases, thankfully, you know, if you're getting an after-hours call like that, I mean, they're aware that it's after hours, and it's usually something that's very pressing, you know, very important, and it is usually a quick, it is usually a quick conversation because all parties recognize when it's occurring, you know.
Yeah. No doubt.
But
Prince, not to cut you off.
Sure.
Let's be mindful. Let's be mindful of the person that's the end client on the other side of that transaction. That's your home buyer who probably may buy 2 or 3 homes in their entire lives, maybe do 6 or 7 mortgage transactions their entire life between purchase and refi loans.
Good point.
And they're not an expert, and they're scared because on top of all that, it's the biggest investment in their lives. So you got to be attentive to these people, no matter what time it is. Just to go off of what you said, you know, if it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on a Friday night, they're not calling you just to BS with you. It's important, you know.
It's important.
And
it's not more than 10 minutes either. Right?
Well,
it's important, but it's not more than 10 minutes.
Right. But that is a fantastic point by Dale, and I'm glad he brought that up, man, because that more than anything really shows, you know, that's the thing that attitude.
Yep.
Okay. Of the you know, I know who this is for. I'm an advocate. I'm here. I'm the expert. I'm going to answer the questions. I'm going to, you know, sort of take control of this. It's anyone that would have any question as to why Dale has been so successful, that answer right there, that comment, that says it. That says it all. That says it all.
Exactly right.
That's all you need to know.
Buying a house is usually the most stressful situation that a family is going to go through in the course of any given year. Buying a house, the whole process behind it, finding the house, qualifying for the mortgage, making sure it appraises, you know, getting to the closing. It's the most stressful. It's caused divorces. I know a couple situations back to back hours where literally the home buying, you know, the home buying process is literally divided families. But so you got to be there. You got to be there. You got to.
No, absolutely. So Dale, just we're kind of coming to the end a little bit, but
we got about 5 minutes.
A couple minutes.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this: what has been, if you were going to give advice to the young Dale Gallant, right? What would that advice be? You know, to the young loan officer, young real estate, young hustler, right? Young hustler. Let's just say that.
Right.
Bet the Patriots in the Super Bowl unless they're playing the Giants.
To say, okay, all right, 20-year-old self, here's what you don't do, and here's what you do, and here's the behavior and tactics that have worked, and here's what to avoid. What would your advice be?
Number one, sort of, it's in a roundabout way, be selfish. All right, young guy coming out of school, just starting in this industry or even in the workforce on a career basis, not a job, a career. This is not a job. This is a career. I mean, basically, be selfish. Don't be me first while you're developing your trade. This is a trade. It takes time to learn this business. There's plenty of guidelines, plenty of programs, plenty of ins and outs that you have to learn, and you're going to be broke. You're going to be broke the first couple months. And especially, I'm not talking about. I am to a point sitting in the call center. I mean, that's a little more instant gratification. You can answer the phone and write a deal today in a call center type environment. Obviously, the compensation in a call center is nowhere near the type of compensation that you'd get out doing your self-generated business. So I would always say, listen, go the self-gen route, learn the business now, get it out of the way while you're young, don't have a family, don't necessarily have a mortgage, maybe a small car payment, and listen, learn this trade, and literally put 14 hours a day into it, because it's not a 9-to-5 gig, especially when you start out. You got to be determined to put the time in, the energy. You have to have the focus, and you got to be like a sponge, and you got to be out there. You got to be learning it. You don't just you don't learn this business by sitting in an office 8 to 10 hours a day. You learn it by getting out there, knowing what your competition's doing. What's out there on the street, what's happening. So that's a big part of it. And just continue, and don't give up. It's so easy to get stressed out and say, look, I'm going to find a new line of work. you have to understand there's good times in this business and there's bad times. Some months are better than others. It's never steady. Talk to any originator; they've never made the same each and every month over the course of X amount of years. So you'll have a couple great months, maybe you have a bad month. You know, historically, December, January, it's a great month to make a move, but it's not necessarily a good month for closings or originations. Just the way it is. It's the middle of winter, especially in the Northeast. Learn to budget yourself through there. Budget your time. Budget your money. Learn this business, and within 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years, if you're not making any money, then it's basically time to look at yourself in the mirror and figure if if you really have what it takes to succeed in this business. Because I interview people constantly. I interview young people, old people, always looking for loan officers. I'm constantly hitting the recruiting trail, and you see guys, and sometimes you know they don't have it or they can't make it, but also it really is the 80-20 rule in this business. I would say 20% of the people, it's probably even greater, it's probably 90-10, but 20% of the people do 80% of the business in this business, and that's just the way it is. You know, you figure out of every 5 or 6 or 7 guys you bring on board, over the course of the next 12 months, maybe 1 or 2 will stick, and that's just the attrition in this business. It's just the way it is. So, stay the course.
Absolutely. Right. And then last question.
Well, real quick, because we got about a minute left.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up because we've only got about a minute.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. But I first of all, I think that is excellent advice. Again, from Dale. I think first of all, Dale, thank you for being on. I want to thank you for being on. I think it's been our pleasure to have you on, man. I look forward to having you on again. I think you've given a lot of really, 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 really good advice and some great perspective for folks specific to the industry, but then also that these are lessons and things that people can apply outside really to anything that they're doing and help them find some success. So I want to thank you for coming on. Obviously, Brian, thank you for being here. And
thanks so much, Dale. And let's go Patriots, right?
No. We're gonna wrap it up, but we'll see you next week, 2 p.m. back in the Lions Den,
Absolutely.
Coast to Coast.
Later, guys.
Thanks, everybody.